Hey, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. Hope to answer a few questions. Today, I would like to share a story with you. It pertains to something a client had mentioned to me. Uh, they had heard the comment from someone that they were worthless. And that kind of struck a chord in me when I hear anyone that feels they're worthless or that they dare to call somebody else worthless. It makes me wonder and go back to a story that I heard quite a long time ago. Um, there was a monk who was trying to get into a specific monastery, and he was sort of like an apprentice monk, if you will. He hadn't even really, got much training. He had just came on, and as they did back in the day, they would start them out with small tasks, and then as they earned their way, they would, include them more and more in teachings and things like that to see how it was going. So one of the first tasks that he had was being assigned to an older monk who gave him a rake and told him to go out to the front of the monastery and see if he could get everything cleaned up. They have those beautiful Zen gardens and stuff like that. And there was a bunch of paved areas and stuff, and it was his job to clean up the area and make it look tidy so that when people came, they would, get the look of the beautiful aesthetic appearance of everything being in its place. So he busily went to work, raking everything up. And when he thought he was finished, he got the older monk and he come back and he said, okay, I'm finished and I want to know what I do with this trash." And the older monk goes, "Trash?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, this trash, it's worthless stuff." And he's like, "There's no such thing as trash." And the young monk was kind of confused and he said, "No, here, look down at all this stuff here." And he said, "Yes, there's no such thing as trash." So the young monk was like, I don't understand, explain." And he said, "I'll show you." He said, "First, gather up all of the big leaves and the small twigs. And when you have them all gathered, let me know." So the younger monk gathered them all up, put them in a bucket, and he said, "Now bring them into the kitchen." And he did, and he said, "Now put them there in that box beside the stove." He said, "That's what we use to, start the fires going in the mornings. We need something like small kindling, pieces of leaves, and small, twigs in order to get the fire blazing into the bigger logs." So he did, and he went back outside, and the younger monk looked at him. He says, "Okay, that task is done. Now what do I do with this trash?" And the older monk looked again and said, "I explained, there's no such thing as trash." And he said, "Well, it's just all of these, these rocks and, debris and stuff." And he goes, "Gather up all of the big stones." And the young monk did. And he said, "Bring them with you." And he took him around the side where the water spouts came off of the sides of the building. He said, "Place them there because they stop the water from eroding away all of the dirt in this area. And we use them, to channel things." So the young monk did what he was told. And then he went and he got the older monk and he said, "Okay, okay, that's done now. Surely the rest of this is trash." And he goes, "No, gather up the small pebbles. And then when you got them all gathered, bring them to me and I'll show you what to do." So the younger monk gathered up all the small pebbles and he said, "Now come with me into the courtyard. Now see where the paving stones are. Take all the small pebbles and squeeze them in between the paving stones where they've came out or been dislodged. That way the ground is smooth again for people to walk over." So the young monk does that. And then he goes back to the last little pile and he goes, "Surely this is just dust. It's a little bit of dirt here and there." And the old monk said, "Gather it all up in a pile, put it in a bucket, and bring it with me." And the young monk did, and he took him out to the gardens and he said, "Put it on the area where we plant out here. We lose topsoil all the time. So this has a place, it has a purpose." So the young monk did that. The old monk took him back and he said, "Now do you understand? There's no such thing as trash, and there's no such thing as worthless. Everything has value. Even if you don't see things as value at the moment, they do have some value. Everything is valuable. Everything exists for a reason." When you can come to terms with that, then nobody can ever tell you you're worthless or that you're trash, because you're not. You have value and you have worth. Even something as simple as, the person was eating ice cream and they were done with the box. And it's like, well, surely then this is trash, right? We call it trash. And I'm like, we call it trash because we're a little ignorant sometimes and we don't understand there's purpose. The purpose of that paper, it can be recycled and once again made into paper, or it can be used as kindling to start fire, or it can be used as containers for something else. Everything has purpose. Just because we're not able to see the purpose at this moment doesn't mean it has purpose. When I was talking to the person, they said, well, to them, being worthless meant they weren't important. And again, I don't think the words equate quite the same, because the other part of that is when you say something is important, it's a degree of importance. If there's a fire you need to put out, water can be very important. Then again, so can flour or dirt. Those things that you use for some other purpose are important in that minute. But later on, they may not be important in the minute, but they do have a value, and later on, they will be important. To you, a broken piece of furniture, you may think it has no worth. If you were a termite, that's dinner. It has a lot of worth. Everything has value. If you can wrap your head around that, then you realize that nobody can ever tell you you're worthless. Nobody can ever tell you you don't have value, because you do. If you go back to the other video that I did on receiving and graceful receiving, everything has a value. Everything has a purpose. The flowers in the field, they're beautiful. You can't cut them up in the food, but they have value, and they have value to the insects that use them, that get nectar from them. They have value even when something, like grass is mowed. The clippings, as they become part of the earth again, are the beginnings of the next generation's food source. So everything has value. Nothing is trash. Once you get that into your mind, you can actually, you know, use it as part of your practice to sit, and when you do mindfulness meditation, sit and think of all the possible uses of everything that you see. A lot of times we only see what we've been taught to see, and we tend to overlook those things that are right in front of us, that have value, that are beautiful, that are important. If you look on things with new eyes, fresh eyes, and study them, you begin to realize that there are so many things that are interconnected, that have purpose and value to other things, that are all stages. To say that one part is more important than the other is to narrow down your view to a very small area of time. And if you step back and take a huge view, you realize that all links in the chain are important. And if you don't have any one link, the chain is broken. So all links are important and all links have value. And so it also goes with all people, all creatures, and everything around you. If you can appreciate that, then you can start to appreciate the fact that if you look inward, you find value in yourself, value in what you do, value in what you give to those around you, and your very presence in this world has a value, and you are worthy. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.